The Galactic Council's flagship Benevolent Dawn hung in Earth's orbit like a silver monument to diplomatic superiority. Ambassador Szeth Kari adjusted his ceremonial robes, his forearms moving in practiced harmony as he prepared for what should have been a routine integration ceremony. In his 3 centuries of service, he had overseen the peaceful absorption of 47 primitive worlds into the Council's protective embrace. Earth would be number 48. The human delegation had arrived aboard their laughably primitive chemical propulsion shuttle, its hull scarred by atmospheric entry burns that any civilized species would have eliminated millennia ago. Ambassador Chen Wei led the Earth contingent, flanked by military advisors whose weapons were so archaic they didn't even register on Szeth Kari's threat assessment scanners. "Welcome, humans of Earth," Szeth Kari began, his translator rendering his melodious Velthari speech into crude human phonetics. "We come bearing the greatest gift the galaxy can offer, protection." Ambassador Chen nodded politely, but Szeth Kari noticed the human's eyes remained sharp, calculating. "We appreciate the Galactic Council's generous offer, Ambassador. However, before we proceed, we have some questions." Standard procedure. Most species asked about tribute quotas, resource allocation, or cultural preservation. Szeth Kari gestured magnanimously with all 4 arms. "Ask freely. Transparency builds trust." Chen leaned forward slightly.
"From whom?"
The question hung in the recycled air like a stellar anomaly. Szeth Kari's translator cycled through several interpretations before settling on the most logical one. Surely the humans were asking about the mechanism of protection, the bureaucratic structure, "I beg your pardon." Szeth Kari's voice carried a slight tremor. "From whom do we need protection?" General Morrison, Chen's military advisor, spoke with the flat directness that made Szeth Kari's secondary stomach clench. "You're offering to protect us. From what threat?" The control room fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. In 3 centuries, no species had asked this question. They had all simply been grateful. Szeth Kari's primary brain raced while his secondary brain managed basic functions. The truth was classified at levels that would require council authorization to reveal. Earth was not being offered protection. It was being contained. Humanity's rapid technological advancement, their disturbing tendency toward independent thought, their reckless exploration beyond their own solar system, they were the threat the galaxy needed protection from, but he couldn't say that. Instead, he defaulted to the standard response. Space is vast and dangerous. Rogue asteroids, cosmic radiation, hostile wildlife on distant worlds. "We've dealt with asteroids," Dr. Sarah Kim interrupted, consulting her primitive tablet. "We've mapped the potentially hazardous objects in our system out to 2387. As for cosmic radiation, we've developed adequate shielding. And hostile wildlife." She paused. "We haven't encountered any yet, but we have protocols." Chen's expression hadn't changed, but Szeth Kari could sense the human's growing suspicion. "Ambassador Szeth Kari, in your experience, what percentage of species require galactic protection from asteroids and radiation?" The question was a trap wrapped in innocence. Szeth Kari's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a nervous tick he couldn't suppress. "All species benefit from our guidance." "That's not what I asked." Chen's voice carried the patience of a predator. "How many species in the galaxy actively threaten others?" General Morrison leaned back, his scarred hands folded calmly on the table. "In our history, we've found that protection rackets usually have 2 components, the protector and the threat they're protecting you from. Sometimes they're the same entity." Szeth Kari's respiratory systems began working overtime. These humans were supposed to be primitive. Their emotional control was disturbing, their logical progression relentless. Most species either accepted immediately or asked easily deflectable questions about cultural autonomy. None had ever dissected the fundamental premise with such surgical precision. "The galaxy is more complex than your limited experience suggests," Szeth Kari managed. Dr. Kim looked up from her tablet again. "According to our long-range sensor data, we've detected 17 distinct faster-than-light signatures passing through our outer system in the past 6 months. All of them avoided direct contact until now. That suggests either remarkable courtesy or active surveillance." Chen nodded. "And now suddenly we need protection from a threat that apparently wasn't significant enough to warn us about until we developed nuclear fusion and started sending probes to other star systems. The Humans were connecting dots that were meant to remain scattered. Zethkari felt his ceremonial composure cracking. The Council's wisdom spans millennia. We ran a simulation, Dr. Kim interrupted again, her tone conversational. Based on the galactic population data you provided in your initial contact, the resource allocation models you've described, and the protection fleet positioning you've outlined, we calculated the optimal threat distribution pattern. She paused, letting the silence stretch. The math only works if the primary threat to galactic stability is rapid technological advancement, coupled with political independence. Everything else is statistical noise. General Morrison smiled, an expression that somehow managed to be both polite and predatory. In other words, Ambassador, the galaxy doesn't need protection from some external threat. It needs protection from species that might upset the established order. Zethkari's forearms trembled. The humans had done in 6 hours what most species never accomplished. They had deduced the true nature of galactic civilization. The Council maintained peace through controlled stagnation, preventing any species from advancing beyond carefully managed parameters. Earth's rapid progression toward interstellar capability had triggered every alarm system in Council space. Species like us, Chen concluded softly. The admission hung between them like a gravitational anomaly, warping the very nature of their negotiation. Zethkari realized he had two choices: maintain the charade and watch it crumble under continued human analysis, or reveal the truth and face the consequences. He chose a third option, one his superiors would never forgive. Yes, he whispered. Chen nodded, unsurprised. Thank you for your honesty, Ambassador. Now shall we discuss what humanity is prepared to offer the galaxy, instead of what the galaxy thinks it can take from us? For the first time in 3 centuries, Zethkari found himself genuinely curious about the outcome of a first contact negotiation. These humans, with their primitive ships and devastating questions, had just rewritten the rules of galactic diplomacy, and somehow he suspected the galaxy would never be the same.